Hey everyone, it's Colin. Recently I've been looking at this generation's consoles, and I would say most of them are doing pretty good. The Nintendo Switch had a run where we almost thought it was going to be the best-selling console of all time. Does look like it's going to fall a little short with 150 million units sold. The PS5 is also doing great this generation, with having a lot of the core gamers putting it over to 60 million units sold. That does leave us with one outlier though, the Xbox. The Xbox Series X and S consoles combined have only sold around 30 million units. While this is still a very decent amount of consoles, it is just half of their main competition from Sony. And they're really damn far from winning this generation. And this started to make me look back at some of their other consoles, mainly my favorite console of all time, the original Xbox. The original Xbox came out of nowhere on November 15th of 2001. The console is 23 years old now, and that's pretty crazy. So today, I figured we'd just take the time and talk about what this console did right. The first thing I really want to touch on is just the overall significance with the Xbox. Because the idea of a new console launching at that time seemed very odd. Like after all, Sega with their Dreamcast had just left the console market. The thing is that Microsoft was a very successful software company with their explosion when it comes to Windows 95. They also made the Office program, which gave us programs like Word, PowerPoint, and Excel, which people use day to day for business to this day. And the game division at this time at Microsoft was a very small part of the company. They had pretty much released one really big hit game on computer, and that was Age of Empires. So after that, Microsoft did gain a little reputation when it comes to the gaming category of things, but eventually Sony announced their PlayStation 2. And Microsoft just didn't want to see Sony have this big of a success. So they decided to look for a team who could make the next big console. This put two teams head to head right next to each other at a meeting with Bill Gates. On one side you had Team DirectX, and on the other you had Team Windows CE. And keep in mind, the Windows CE team actually had prior experience with video game consoles because they partnered with Sega to make the Dreamcast. But as we know now, Bill Gates ended up going with Team DirectX, and it helped they bring an actual prototype for a fast-booting Windows computer that could emulate PS1 to him. It had him in awe, and that would later get codenamed the DirectXbox, which we now know is the Xbox. Now, as I did mention, Sony did in fact release their PS2, and they beat Microsoft to the market a whole year. But when the next year did come around, the Xbox launch was not taken lightly. And this has got to be partially due to the game that came alongside of it, Halo Combat Evolved. On opening day, Halo Combat Evolved sold along 50% of all Xbox units, and everyone just loved it. The Xbox had an Ethernet port on the back of it, making LAN parties very easy and very high speed, which just elevated Halo's multiplayer experience, allowing up to 16 players on a smooth connection. Microsoft had a huge win on their hands, and it only started going up from there. Now, the Xbox was by far the most powerful system on the market at the time, and this had a lot to do with its infrastructure being based around an actual computer. It was basically just a computer in your living room. And this also made it so easy to develop for, therefore making more developers want to come to the platform and keep their games primarily there. Tons of new games came to the Xbox as exclusives. The most notable, of course, is going to be Halo. We also have Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, Jet Set Radio Future, Blinx, The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, the list just keeps going. This allowed the Xbox to start growing as a brand and help build a massive fan base going into the next generation. But I would argue these games are probably only half the reason that the Xbox brand got so big and popular, because 1 year after launch, they released Xbox Live. Xbox Live released November 15th of 2002, and this changed gaming forever. It normalized consoles having an internet connection to play with your friends, other players alike, compete, that sort of stuff. You and your friends could play a large variety of games, and this was something pretty much only the Xbox could do. This made the Xbox a must-have in the early 2000s when it came to playing with your friends. The biggest addition to the Xbox Live roster, though, had to be Halo 2. Halo 2 was the follow-up to Xbox's holy grail of a launch title. Halo 2 would add Xbox Live support to a refined version of the almost perfection that was Halo Combat Evolved. The multiplayer was unstoppable, unbelievably fun, and had people playing every day for years and years to come. Like, people seriously cannot get enough of Halo 2. And this made Halo and Xbox Live like cookies and milk. You just couldn't separate them. And yes, this further helped the Xbox launch its momentum into the next generation as well, heading right for the Xbox 360. Now, Xbox had gained a reputation in the industry from their first outing, and that reputation was that they meant business and they were here to stay. They were the brand for the gamers and thinking about the gamers first and foremost. And also, Bill Gates showing up to a lot of the events really helped show how important Xbox was to Microsoft as a company. They even got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to pull up to the unveiling of it at E3. You don't see anyone do that anymore. And Bill also took weeks off of work just to play some of the games coming out on the Xbox, so on the night of release in Times Square, he could have a chance to potentially beat some of the gamers, although I don't think he'd beat one. But all of this showed that Microsoft cared and was ready to play, which is a shame because right now it seems like they don't know what to do or they don't know what direction to go. They have all these resources and instead they're convinced that Netflix for gaming is the next big thing. I do like Game Pass though, so don't get me wrong there. And also, I just want to talk about my personal experience with the Xbox because this was my first actual console. I had a couple plug and plays before this, but this is how it really got me into gaming. So I got my Xbox as a hand-me-down from a family friend, and it came with all sorts of games, but not really your notable ones, mainly just random filler or kind of licensed titles. I'm talking Taz Wanted, Pac-Man World 2, Starchy and Hutch. And it wasn't until later where I'd buy games like Star Wars Battlefront, Spider-Man 2, Halo 1, Halo 2. I just remember being wowed because on those plug and plays we would play the original Super Mario Bros. And when you jump straight into the Xbox, it's like the 3D graphics and the sheer power that the system has was overwhelmingly cool. Eventually my family got a Wii, but I was yearning for the Xbox 360 because I just fell in love with the brand. And yeah, my trust and belief in the Xbox brand really did stem from this original console. And I was a believer for years to come. I got an Xbox 360 next. I wanted an Xbox One, but I ended up going with the PS4 because of the release backlash, and all my friends also got the PS4, and this was before crossplay was even really a normal thing. But I will never forget those days I played that OG Xbox on a Sony Trinitron in our guest room back in my parents' house. I wouldn't have had it any other way growing up. My laser on that Xbox for the disc reader did eventually go out, so I don't own the original one anymore. I do have one from my uncle, and I also got one I bought off a friend or something like that. And both the lasers on those work. One my uncle gave me is kind of broken. But yeah, nice thing is that these lasers tend to be able to cleaned or a little fixable. That is one bad thing about the early Xboxes is they have like 4 different disk drives for each different model, and yeah, a lot of them are not reliable. Also, one last thing, when I was playing the Xbox growing up, I used the Duke controller. I'm talking about when I was like 5. Somehow my hands were using that big thing. I don't know how. My sister got the S controller and I had to use the Duke, and I love that thing. So I do have a fondness for that original Duke controller as well. But overall, the original Xbox is a huge landmark in gaming history, and it just reminds me of a simpler time to be alive. It skyrocketed the Xbox brand to a household name, and it did it really quick too, and that's no easy task. And yeah, this is also like a different style video than I normally make when I make them. Yeah, I'm a little late on release. But yeah, if you do prefer or like even this kind of look back at certain generations or more so just topics, let me know, because I'd love to make more videos like this, and it's still kind of in my wheelhouse when it comes to gaming. But yeah, just let me know in the comments down below or leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. Helps so much as I try to grow as a small content creator. But yeah, and I appreciate you guys all for watching all the way up until the end. I sometimes do stream my game content on Twitch. That'll be under twitch.tv/itscontrast with a Z. And I'll link that down below. If you're interested, you can drop a follow, say hi while I'm getting some footage, that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think that's all I got for you guys today. And yeah, thanks for stopping by. This has been The Pixel Critic. See you next time.